Kia ora. How do we collectively build the capability of social enterprises throughout Aotearoa to achieve impact? This is the key question the capability building workstream of the Impact Initiative is aiming to answer. So we believe social enterprises have the potential to deliver social value and environmental value alongside with economic value. And to do so and to achieve the impact they exist to deliver, they need capability, as in skills and resources, and to be supported to grow this capability. So in this talk, I will share findings that we have around the most effective way we can build capability in social enterprises. I will let you know, I will summarize where we get to and where we're heading towards. And also I will point to a few ideas around how much more support we can provide to social enterprises. So in 2018, the first year of the program, we did quite deep and wide sector engagement and consultations. So we talked to more than 200 enterprises across the country through events, surveys, and regional events. We talked at kitchen table talks. So we wanted to understand a little bit better what the enterprises required in terms of skills, knowledge, support, and tools to become sustainable as businesses while being able to deliver the impact they want to see in the world. We also drew on to a few papers, including MJ Kaplan's On the Cusp report, which highlighted that New Zealand looked at like a very fertile ecosystem to create a web of networks and suggested that we could look at different new ways to partner and collaborate. These are the key insights from this consultation exercise. So we heard that access to support, business tools and resources remain a real challenge. We heard that capability builders mostly worked in a voluntary capacity, and that is not sustainable. Support, when it exists, is quite badly signposted. So it's very hard for me to find, the right support and resources for my needs. Equity is still lacking, so in particular for underrepresented communities and people, it's very hard to access adequate support. And we also heard of the importance of the wraparound support and the community around the entrepreneurs, in particular at very early stage in their development. So strong of these insights, we concluded that there was 3 areas of opportunities that we could focus on with our work. In order to grow capability in social enterprises across the country, we think that we need to work towards increasing the visibility and accessibility of the support. We should try and offer more relevant and meaningful business support tools and programs, and we should build the connections and the networks that will help our ecosystem to flourish. We thought that the best approach for this was to be a bit more intentional about what we call a place-based approach. So place-based has lots of different meanings, but I suppose in this context, we thought that our kaupapa should be led and informed by the communities and their needs and their dreams, and we should be working towards locally relevant and locally led initiative and support in as many places as possible through the country, and to grow the networks and connections between these places. So the way we did it in 2019 is 2 parts. One is the Regional Hubs pilot, which was funded by the program, where we partnered with 8 organizations in 8 regions of New Zealand to enable them to get more connected and to learn from their own peer. And the other aspect, which was outside of the program but funded by local partners, was to deliver direct support in these places and others to entrepreneurs in order to try different programs and different tools. So examples of these are support we delivered in Northlands through the Foundation North funding with CBEC, support we have delivered in Palmerston North through Massey University, for instance, or in Auckland with the Auckland Council. So that gives you an idea of the range of partnerships and funding we benefited from last year. So with all that work, the kind of aim is really to create the opportunities for communities to lead the process of creating positive impact in their place, and to create a network that would result in greater synergies, less duplications, greater transfer of knowledge, and greater allocation of resources. So that's kind of the dream and the ideal outcome. So by the end of 2019, we had a much clearer picture of the potential of a place-based approach, and better ideas around, the characteristics and the ways of actually doing it in a way that delivers impact. So I've got a few learnings from you. I've got actually 7 learnings, so bear with me. I had way more than this. I had about 100 learnings, and I tried to distill them in about 7. So I'll talk you through these, and I'll give you some examples as well to bring them to life. So learning number 1, in-person coaching plays a decisive role in the trajectory of an early stage social enterprise. So clearly, we've seen that a lot in Northland. The partnership between Ākina and CBEC, working together, investing the foundation North funding, was extremely successful last year, even more than before, because we changed tack and we decided to shift the model away from kind of one-on-one clinics to a series of longer-term support with a smaller group of social enterprises that we thought had higher potential for impact. And this in-depth support worked extremely well for these early stage enterprises. Learning number 2, peer-to-peer learning and community connections accelerate capability and confidence. We had some really good testimonials from Taranaki through our partner Get Social Taranaki there, that entrepreneurs said that without clear pathways and partnerships between the players in the community, they would continue to struggle, in particular with access to finance. Learning number 3, seed funding is key for early stage social enterprises to move from aspirations to reality. The seed funding, for instance, that we offered through Sky City funding was really key to create opportunities for rural whānau enterprises to make progress. And we also saw this in Wanganui through our partner Thrive Wanganui, who's working with the MSD generator. And so very early stage micro-enterprises ideas flourish thanks to seed funding. The co-delivery model allows for each partner to play out their strengths and leads to better outcomes for all. So taking again the example of Northland, clearly without our partnership with CBEC, we would have been very unlikely to engage with the 28 ventures we support last year. And same with our work in Taranaki. With Get Social Taranaki, we brought the all kind of Ākina and impact enterprise offering to the table, having conversations around social procurement and impact investment that was enabled through, in particular, a partnership with the TSB Community Trust. Connections and peer-to-peer learning amongst regional capability builders are beneficial to evolve local delivery model. So overall, the result of the hubs pilot told us that there was a real increase in social enterprise champions, our regional partners' confidence and capability to deliver activities locally. We saw some really great examples of exchanging knowledge and examples of funding applications, and really great support in that sense. And some of them, such as the Bay of Plenty and the Waikato partners, got together to go a bit more in depth about their offerings, their delivery model, and their theory of change. Seed funding for local capability builders is a key enabler to their longer-term sustainability, if unlocked at the right time. So again, that's something we saw last year with a little bit of funding injection, and it doesn't need to be very much. Those who were at very early stage could actually go much further in terms of their model, in terms of understanding the ecosystem. and in terms of approaching partners. So we saw some great results in Nelson through the work Sint did in doing their first kind of mapping of what their impact ecosystem looks like, and again in Wanganui, some wonderful outcomes around funding. Final learning, being present in a community alongside with our local partners is necessary to create meaningful and long-term impact for the community. So a good example of this is one of our staff member spending some time in Ngāhere communities in South Auckland, and the opportunities that created in terms of not only obviously the understanding of the communities and their needs, but also like partnering with organizations such as ATID and TSI, and leading to co-delivery of a program focusing on Maori and Pacific entrepreneurs this year. So at this stage, we've obviously stopped and reflected at the end of 2019 and concluded that a place-based approach really does have potential to deliver these 3 areas of opportunities we're working towards. Like I said, we've got more information, which is feeding into the 2020 plans. So that looks like us doing more of what we've seen is working in communities. That looks like us doing more work to grow that network of regional champions that has started growing. And that looks like gathering even more of these learning and evidence and data to inform our recommendations to government. So if our assumptions are proven right, we are in a situation where we need to think about how we're going to resource a model where we've got this growing of the nationwide infrastructures, and that's the networks and the tools and resources I've just talked about, in association with the co-delivery of locally led initiatives in order to enable more enterprises to have the capability they need to achieve impact. In that context, what do we think the opportunities for government to support are? There's a few ideas around what can be done around the national infrastructure, and then maybe also in places. So, there's already, as we all know, a lot of tools and resources out there. We're doing lots of work to try and keep them fresh and relevant and accessible. And I think we need to keep on working alongside, hence the coordinated approach down there, alongside other capability builders and intermediaries and education providers, and that requires coordination. And we see a great opportunity for governments through agencies such as MB or MSD and others to support. Technology has a big role to play, so we've learned, and we're very passionate about the fact that it's people first, and we really believe in in-person coaching. However, technology has a big role to play to increase accessibility and visibility and relevance of the support. So we've made progress towards kind of a less fragmented ecosystem, I suppose, but there's still a lot to do to help entrepreneurs navigate the support that's also available online. So government has the potential to heavily influence and support on this journey. Regional partners, I'm going up here to capacity in the regions. Regional partners are the most important asset in our growing network. They have the passion, they have the insights from their communities, they have their skills, they can grow their skills by working more closely together. But the most significant roadblocks we've seen is the lack of capacity and resourcing, in particular at an early stage of their ecosystem development. The seed funding that we've tested has proven successful in order to kickstart some of these regional hubs. So that's something that we'd like to explore further. We've seen some really amazing initiatives last year around the regional wellbeing framework, whether that's in the Waikato, in Nelson, Tasman, and other regions. So there's work that's being done, both at central government level and regional government level. We think there's probably more than can be done in collaboration here. And finally, good storytelling has a really significant role to play in telling the stories of these impactful enterprises and increasing the accessibility, visibility of their work. So yeah, there's a role for government to play in telling and doing the dissemination of these stories of impact for those social enterprises that contribute to solve our biggest social and environmental and cultural issues. Kia ora.